Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano has a great piece that breaks down the 5 ways, just 5 ways. These are 5 big fat ways that President Biden's leadership went bad. Carafano says that Biden clearly must have ignored sound military advice because no person who graduated boot camp would have planned a military operation like this. And Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano is the Vice President for National Security and Foreign Policy at Heritage Foundation. He joins me now. Good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for your time. 5, and I know it was probably hard for you to stick to 5.
Yeah, look, I was in the Army for 25 years. I went to every military school you can go to. I think I've written I don't know, I lost count, maybe 4 military history books. I planned military operations. But I got to tell you, when I looked at this, it was like I threw privates out of the Army that were drug-addled, that had better military sense than this. So this is why I really actually believe that Biden personally made these decisions, because there's no way that any competent military person would have done any of these. The one that gets most discussion is, why did we give up the high ground? People intuitively get this. If anybody's ever been to Gettysburg, right, they know you want to be the guy at the higher position, the dominating thing. Well, in an evacuation, those are airfields. Controlling the airfields are the high ground. And there's an airport in Kabul, and there's the Bagram Air Force Base, and everybody knows we walked away from Bagram. And you go, well, why would we do that? Well, Biden was so terrified that we might take casualties or have like a Black Hawk moment or something, that he refused to let the military put in more troops. So he basically said, you can do whatever you want. See, it's the military's decision, right? You can do whatever you want, but you can't have any more troops. Well, you had 2 airfields, and you had the embassy, and so they decided they couldn't secure all of that. So essentially what he was doing was, he was giving them this nonsensical choice. It's like Sophie's Choice. It's like the German guy saying, which kid do you want to live, right? And then they say, oh, well, you got the kid killed because you made the choice. I mean, it really was nonsense to blame the military for that when it was a direct result of Biden's decision.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me that surely, and I don't know how it works when you have the President of the United States and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and they're all in the room, but surely someone, I just remember hearing all throughout the previous administration when people would sort of take it, they took it as like they were virtue signaling if they disagreed heartily with former President Trump, but nobody was going to disagree with Biden on this. I mean, surely they had to have big arguments over this. No one tried to stop him.
Well, this is why it's their fault, too. I wrote this piece in the Washington Times, actually, before the Afghanistan debacle, when I said this is the worst generation of military leaders that we've had in recent memory, and these guys got to go. So let me tell you how you get out of this problem. You're briefing the President of the United States, and he says, oh, you do whatever you want, but you can only have 2,000 troops. And you look the President in the eye on the record, and you say, Mr. President, I want you to understand that if we do this, very likely we will get Americans killed, and there are a lot of Americans that we will never get out. And I just want you to understand that's what you're telling me to do. You're telling me to decide today that to do a military option, which I will guarantee you will not meet the objectives you just get me. So is that what you really want me to do? Virtually no president of the United States will ever say, oh yeah, go ahead and do that, right? On the record, that can be published later for history. So there are ways to do that. But when you have a military commander just say, oh yes, Mr. President, I will do the best I can with the resources you give me, march on. Okay, they are meeting their constitutional oath to obey the orders of their president, but they are failing their country, they're failing their president, and they're failing the nation by essentially doing something that they know is wrong, and later on they'll say, well, that's what the president said, and we support the president. All this kind of weaselly language. But, this is their MO. Nobody ever got fired under Obama. Nobody gets fired under Biden, because here's the deal is, you guys work with me and do the despicable evil stuff like Tony Soprano once in the mafia, and I will never throw you out and have you killed, right? You will never be cut.